So Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to chat, man.
Ah, that's no problem, me son. That's what I'm here for.
I gotta say, I'm so happy that we're getting an AC/DC album in this year because let's face it, this has been a really year.
It has me, son. And God bless Sonny for saying bollocks to the rules and regulations, which is usually we're not going to bring an album out unless the band tours. And of course, of course, we can it. And it was great. They just threw the rule book out the window and said, bollocks, the world needs a cheer up of some kind, And if we can be just part of that, it's fantastic, to bring a smile to people's faces, this time.
And to me, that's exactly what AC/DC has always been about. It's always been about having a good time. I mean, you guys have been singing about that. That's been the constant throughout the music for all these years. It's just we want to have fun. So it's just so nice that we're getting this right at the end of 2020 to remind everybody, hey, things are going to be okay.
Yeah, I know that's what I felt. And I hope people feel like, because this whole album was done right from the get-go in the studio, Jason. It was this feeling, we just lost Malcolm. And we wanted this album to be a tribute to Malcolm, to our leader, the man who was right at the inception of it. It was his idea, the idea of making AC/DC have a sound that nobody else could copy. And it was in his mind all the time to do that. And they've kept it like that all the way through, which I think is amazing in itself. But when we went into the studio to do this, we knew that what we're doing was a tribute to the great man himself. And we knew he'd be looking.
There's something about this album. You guys have a signature sound. I mean, when you hear AC/DC, from the moment you hear an AC/DC song, it's AC/DC. But I'll tell you, when the album starts with Realize, there seems to be something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it's, I think, from the very start, I know Angus was saying, he said, the first song we do will be Realize, because he wanted to set the bar on the sound, the riffs. And as I say, we're not spiritual guys, but when you hear them backing vocals come in, which was always Malcolm's terrain, that was his property, that was always Malcolm's growly voice and all of that. And so in Realize, we put all that in, but it had to be a rock and roll song. And that's why I enjoyed singing it so much. It's just so simple. Getting up, then it down, getting down, down, down. It's just rock and roll. And it's just a joy for a rock and roll singer to get that thrown at him. But also, I think you'll find that there's just a little edginess to this album. That's all it was. We just knew that it had to be special. And that's all we can say, really. But I think every man in that band just gave a little bit more.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like there's a renewed energy in this band now. With Cliff back, it really feels like there's just a renewed energy.
Yeah, well, you're right there as well. And also added to that 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, it looked like there would never be another, AC/DC as we know it album out. Things were just, Cliff retiring, Phil, getting into, a bit of a pickle, and me with me ears, who would have the right to expect to have another chance at this. And I thought it was brilliant that we did, and boy, did we take it with both hands. Hey, Cliff.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, sorry, man, I'm having a hell of a time with this technology stuff. I'm trying.
You know what? It's okay. Listen, I wanted to let you know, Angus is with us.
Oh, I love it. Love
it. I want you guys to know that he sits on top of my speaker on my stereo all the time, and I judge a song if it's going to be good if the bass knocks him off.
Oh, right.
Thanks for joining us, Cliff. We were actually just talking about the new album and how the album opens up with Realize and how it just has a good vibe, and also the fact that 2020 has been such a year. and to have it end off with an AC/DC album is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, if we can get faces smiling and feet tapping, we're happy. So it's a great timing to get the thing out. Yeah.
Now that I have both of you here, you guys did a lot of work on this record in Vancouver at the warehouse. And it's funny because when this was all hush hush, no one was supposed to be knowing about it, all the people that were kind of in the know and stuff was leaking out about it. And there were pictures from, you guys having a smoke break and, being outside of the studio. So it was leaking out. How much fun was it, A, to work in Vancouver, and B, to try to keep this under wraps?
Vancouver was great. This is the third one we've done there. We love that studio. It works real well for us. Again, the third one with Brendan O'Brien and God, I don't know, about the 25th or whatever with Mike Fraser. So it's tried and tested, but it's a really comfortable environment. And, we got straight to it, really enjoyed it. It worked really well for us.
Brian, I imagine you like Vancouver as well?
Yeah, well, it's always been friendly because before we worked there, we used to work at Little Mountain with Bruce Fairbairn. And, so we've got a long association with Vancouver, as far as I'm concerned, all good stuff starts there, There's a certain atmosphere about it that you can't put your finger on, but it's just nice, the restaurants are cool, the whole atmosphere is cool, and it's a great working place, So we've always had positive results from there, That's why we like it,
Yeah. Brendan O'Brien, he's one of these producers that really came up in the generation that, in my 20s, in the 90s, that he was on everything. And I was so excited when he started working with you guys. It was just a nice meeting of the minds. You got a band like you guys who are you're a legacy, and then you get a young guy like Brendan O'Brien who pairs up with you guys. But he got this energy out of you guys the first time he worked with you, and it seems like every time you work with him, he just gets the best out of you.
He's great for us to work with. I would imagine anyone to work with. He's just a super up guy. He's a great player and singer himself, and he's got great ears, great insight, good set of outside ears for us. And he's got our respect, certainly. So and he keeps it going. Brian's up singing in the upstairs, and we're playing down here. There's not a bunch of downtime, which is really good. And also, he doesn't get us to play stuff so many times it's played to death. He keeps it lighting up. So it's a really good work environment for us, very productive.
And Brian, your voice sounds phenomenal. I've tried singing AC/DC songs before. I still don't understand how it's humanly possible to sing the way you do, but you do it.
I'd be careful. I would be careful. You could lose a testicle on a bad night. I shouldn't have said that.
No, you can't. Please say that.
Now it's Brendan early on figured out I didn't like singing in studios. There was something sterile about being in a wooden hut type thing with a standing microphone. He said, well, what did you like about it? And I said, I like to hold the mic in my hand. I like to sing like that. You feel so removed from everyone in there. It's so sterile. Just moved into one of the offices, really, and he had a little mini desk and set some speakers up with his buddy Billy, and he just said there was, we'll play the track back at you, but not very loud, and we'll have your voice here, but not very loud. You're going to have to sing the top of your voice, but with as much passion as you can, because when you got headphones on, that clip, you can sound like Superman, and you're only really singing about quarter power. And when you're not, you can't hear it. You really, to make yourself heard and to make yourself exciting, make the song exciting, you really have to push it. And he loved that, because he said, if you can excite me with just a flat sound in a room, I can do anything with it. He said, I can work the hell out of it. He did strange things on this album that I've never done before. And I don't even think Cliff knows this. He might, but it was a couple of times I was going to sing something, and I was singing it, and he went, hang on, Brian, I'm going to stop the music. Just keep the count and sing it. And I did. And he'd gone, hang on, let's try it. And he'd marry it to the music, and he'd gone, bingo! And I'd gone, what the hell was that? He said, it's just, you're more confident because you're not sure of the music yet. You know, it's only the second time you've heard it, and you're waiting for your counts, and you know what I mean, Cliff. You know, when you're trying to just get the hang of it and get easy with it, and he just said, right, keep the beat and sing it, and I just belt it out into the room, and then he'd go, okay, Billy. And he'd say, let's try it. And he'd move it in. I'd go, I'll be a son of a bitch. And of course, he'd put all that together, but then he'd play it back, and then I would sing the song.
Right.
Because then I'd heard myself do it, and you'd think, I can. Oh, that's easier. Sorry, I wasn't listening to it the right way. So he's innovative. He's always thinking ahead, but he gets himself inside your brain as well. He feels for you. He knows if you're having a bit of problem with something. Guitarists, drummers, or somebody's just... Because there's sometimes little tricky bits in AC/DC stuff that, you know, the thing with AC/DC, and I've always said it, and you can ask any other musician, when people make things sound easy, it's never that easy. You know, if you see somebody that makes downhill skiing look like it's easy, you go, I can do that, you know. Yeah. And it's the same with the AC/DC as the musicianship. It's just so clever, but it's subtle. And you try playing it, and it ain't.
Very true. Very true.
And that's the thing. And Brendan brings that to all of it, and he brings it inside of it all, where, you know, we all play the very best and do the very best because you know he's there.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you guys have ever put out an album and not gone into a touring cycle. I mean, this seems like uncharted territory for AC/DC. Usually, an album is an excuse to go out on the road, right?
Right. And you know, I don't know if you touched on it with Brian about earlier this year, we got together to shoot the video and rehearse for a few weeks, and it went really well. And last conversations we were having there before we all went home was like, do you want to go play some shows? And everyone was absolutely. And of course, that's as far as it got. You know, we all went to our respective homes, and then this damn virus thing. So it's weird. I mean, usually we would roll into that, but we didn't have an opportunity. No one's can at the moment.
Yeah.
Another piece of trivia for you, Jason. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is the first AC/DC album that doesn't have a song off the tracks as the title.
That's right.
Really, eh?
I just figured that out.
It's true because when I'm looking at the song, it's true. I'm looking at the song titles, and there's it's true.
Song on the list? Where the is it?
I think that's all the time I have. But I wanted to thank you guys. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time. You're good. You're the brightest spot of 2020, having a new AC/DC album, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out on the road. I really am.
Thanks.